Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. You know, it's probably good that I didn't predict this. It would have made the past week all the more dispiriting going into the last sort of album bomb that I would want to cover. And yet, since he's barely on my radar, I'm not even sure I could have predicted the baffling success of a YoungBoy Never Broke Again album release. And at this point, I should really stop being surprised. He's done this sort of thing before. And yet, since he's one song short of my qualifications of an album bomb, yeah, we're talking about all of it, folks. Strap in. But first, our top 10, where to nobody's surprise, Truth Hurts by Lizzo retakes the number 1. But I'm gonna restate what I said 2 weeks ago. It's not exactly stable here. Strong sales, but not on top. Streaming is far weaker, and while it has the top spot on the radio, it is losing spins there. Now, that's not saying that Señorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello at number 2 is in better straits. I mean, it's got slightly better streaming, but it's not compensating for far weaker sales and radio presence that is spent all week bleeding hard. Now, I'd normally be worried that Someone You Love by Louis Capaldi would make a move beyond rebounding to number 3, especially with solid sales and radio, but that radio growth is slowing hard, and he's not a streaming presence whatsoever. I don't see this making the number 1 push. Now, this places Circles by Post Malone in an interesting position at number 4. Sales, they aren't that far behind, it's got streaming traction, and still has radio upside. This could well make the play. Hell, remains above No Guidance by Chris Brown featuring Drake at number 5, which still has more YouTube and radio than it really should, but it's not up in a position to make a run at this point either, especially given its sales. Now this takes us to Highest in the Room by Travis Scott, tumbling down to number 6, as I predicted, because I do see it rebounding at least a little bit in the coming weeks. Yeah, the sales utterly collapsed, but the streaming monster that is picking up a little bit of radio, I don't see this going away anytime soon. Hell, it blew right past Ransom by Lil Tecca, which is down at number 7, which seemed to be finally losing streaming, and with radio on the downturn, whatever radio it had, yeah, not a great sign. Nor is it good for Bad Guy by Billie Eilish at number 8, which is losing in all categories except, strangely enough, streaming. Now, Panini by Lil Nas X did gain a spot up to number 9 thanks to just solid streaming and surprisingly steady radio, but I'll admit I'm a lot more worried about our newest top 10 entry, Bandit by Juice WRLD and YoungBoy Never Broke Again at number 10, which is absolutely monstrous on streaming and YouTube, even if he's not selling and radio wants nothing to do with this. So while I expect it'll fall off a little bit after YoungBoy's album bomb fades away, this sort of consistent streaming might keep this around, and with collapsing songs above it, yeah, I can see this sticking in the top 10, just warning you now. But now on to our losers and dropouts. Really only a few big ones in the latter category this week, with If I Can't Have You by Shawn Mendes and The London by Young Thug, J. Cole, and Travis Scott comfortably clinching their year-end list spots for 2019, and Southbound by Carrie Underwood, not, and for good riddance. And our losers, they might as well be described as album bomb losers, as in songs from album bombs that are just falling away. So let's run through them in turn. From Post Malone, we've got Hollywood's Bleeding at 96 and Saint Tropez at 88. From DaBaby, we've got Bop at 54, Intro at 55, Vibes at 58, and Toes with Lil Baby and Moneybagg Yo at 85. And from Summer Walker last week, Playing Games lost down to 26, Come Through with Usher at 74, and I'll Kill You with Jhené Aiko at 89. Beyond that, it's kind of scattered, with Bad 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 from Young Thug and Lil Baby at 99, also kind of an album bomb song. Writing on the Wall by French Montana featuring Post Malone and Cardi B continues to flop at 90. The Bones by Maris Morris lost off its big return at 67. And Boyfriend by Ariana Grande and Social House just continues its shocking freefall to 78. The way it's going, it could miss the year-end list, and I'm genuinely shocked with that one. Now, as we expected given the abortive album bomb from YoungBoy, we don't really have a lot of gains or returns, but more the latter than I did expect, with We Were by Keith Urban back at 97, La Canción by J Balvin and Bad Bunny sliding down to 95, What If I Can't Have You by Lady Antebellum back at 92, seriously, that song just has no staying power, and most strangely, Hot Shower by Chance the Rapper featuring Made in 2IO and DaBaby at 91. You'd think We Go High would have gotten there instead given the video, but I guess we have to see this here. And yet when we go to our gains, I'll be honest, I'm the most excited with what we're getting here than I've been in a long time. Outside the expected boost for Self-Control by YoungBoy Never Broke Again up to 50, I'm actually pretty pleased with FM by Lil TJ getting a big boost to 56, and especially Even Though I'm Leaving by Luke Combs surging up to 39. It'll still take a minor miracle for this to clinch the year-end list over the next 5 or so weeks given the gains that it would have to pick up, but who knows? What I'm a lot more intrigued by is the nice boost for Dance Monkey by Tones and I up to 75. This song might be a bona fide hit if pushed properly, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one going forward. But now onto our list of new arrivals, and just saying it now, be prepared for a long list of YoungBoy Never Broke Again, starting off with number 100, Rich as Hell by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
I'm staying up, I'm tossing, turning. That's them bodies from my temple creeping on me.
So let me make this clear. As I've said a number of times before, YoungBoy Never Broke Again is profoundly uninteresting to discuss for the majority of songs given his one-dimensional subject matter and haphazard delivery. So I'm going to endeavor to try to keep this brief for his entries. So we're starting off with a song where it might imply he's rich as hell, and yet he's spends more time bragging about killing people, putting guns in girls' mouths, and some sexual subtext that he might not be intending. Yeah, that happens twice. On the first verse talking about getting that dick for real, and on the second, after following a line about him screwing his girl's best friend, he has the line, "Fuck your man ho, I'm lit." Probably more about taking that girl, but you see what clumsy phrasing will get you? Now I will say the piano line is fine enough, and the trap beat's a little bit more crisp than usual. It sounds a bit better, but when we got a guy who's rhyming Bentley with lenses, maybe it's a bad idea for him to reference Griselda, who can wrap circles around him. Just saying. Number 79, Time I'm On by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
Don't walk up on me, catching you might walk into that strap.
Okay, you had a perfectly decent piano line. Why are you now trying to blend it with a really muddy guitar line and some weirdly jingling percussion that with the overdose of auto-tune sounds like a really sloppy Young Thug impersonation? And beyond that, we got more brand name flexing, gunplay, a line about blowing a guy right on the scene in the first verse. Again, he's talking about shooting people, but again, stress that the second draft would have helped here, especially given how clumsy and warped his cadence of the song feels, so yeah, not impressed. Because this isn't good. Number 73, In Control by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
Nigga get blowed down. Riding around with them sticks, nigga, these bitch niggas get rolled down.
I'm always a little bit perturbed when we get streaming album bombs where the songs will fall on the album's track list and where they debut here. Because sometimes you wind up just getting the first 4 or 5 cuts and then you know the majority of the listeners just stopped after those. Whereas here we get a song 15 tracks in, so it's gotta be fire, right? Well, no, because who thought that oily pile-up of gurgling synth against the messy bass line was a good idea? They were wrong, especially because YoungBoy has no convincing command of grit or intensity, mostly because he ends a lot of his bars here with a melodic flourish that somehow doesn't capture any real rawness. And beyond that, okay, look, we've heard this before. He's talking about shooting people, and even if there's a solid cadence build on the pre-chorus, it doesn't lead to any solid potent crescendo or truly killer punchlines on the hook. So I'm just, again, not at all impressed, especially when the production is this bad. Next, number 70, All Dat by Moneybagg Yo and Megan Thee Stallion.
Fuck it, I'm freaking the bed, but innocent in public. Wish you watch it.
I'll admit that since we got a feature from Moneybagg Yo on that DaBaby album 2 weeks ago, I expected it might not be long before we heard from him again, but I will say I'm a little bit stunned that he snagged a feature from Megan Thee Stallion for this, and yet I'm not quite sure this works as well as I would like. The sandy words against the sharper knock of the beat and the very light trap touches off the watery Project Pat sample, it's a bit of an odd choice, and the change-ups in flows and tempo between the verses and the hook that feel a little bit too jerky for comfort, which doesn't really match with Megan Thee Stallion's dominant but very assured command of everything else here. But I wouldn't even say either verse is as punchy as they should be. For one, Megan's got buckets more expressive charisma than Moneybagg Yo, which really unbalances the song, and yet we're expected to buy into this hookup between the two of them when they're both running through plenty already with both genders. I mean, this is gonna sound kind of crass, but it feels like a favor that was called in for Megan to lend her considerable star power to Moneybagg Yo for a very quick boost to keep his momentum going. And yet, I do not think this is all that good, so I'm not sure how much it's gonna help. Just saying. Number 66, Hot Now by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
Fan, cause I'm hot now. Broke ass niggas with that plan, they get shot down.
And we're back to YoungBoy, but not for long, given that he's only got a single verse on this cut that barely runs over 2 minutes. And yet of the YoungBoy songs I've covered thus far, I can actually see the appeal of this one. There's a lot of heavily overlayered crooning against a very spare keyboard with enough melody to keep the paranoid gunplay kind of moving. And I do kind of like how despite the spitting on the hook, the verse actually has the girl actively questioning his brand of pragmatism. I mean, you can tell that, like YG, the flex isn't exactly natural for him in comparison with all the guns and gangbanging, so he's trying to find any appeal in the shopping, and when the girl actually asks him about his car, he admits it doesn't really cost that much. Now, granted, that Fortnite reference at the end of the verse feels really forced as all hell, but beyond that, honestly, this isn't bad. I can tolerate this. Number 64, Kinfolks by Sam Hunt.
Friends to the house in the pines where the road ends, take you to my hometown.
Okay, honest question. Who in the nine hells is asking for Sam Hunt to bring a comeback? I'll admit I'm surprised it took this long after his one album in 2014 and his scattered singles the past couple of years, where several other acts in country have built way more momentum in the meantime. But with Sam Hunt saying he was going to embrace slightly more organic tones, I was kind of morbidly curious where on the spectrum between Luke Combs and Kane Brown he would find himself. And yet, he somehow finds himself lacking the relative quality of both, because even if there is a banjo, a little pedal steel, and a little bit more acoustic melody, it's still muddied behind the overweight drums, enough programmed percussion does nothing for the groove, and let's not forget a gurgle of synthesizers that contributes nothing. And what's kind of odd about Kinfolks is how damn clumsy it feels, from the oddly placed vocal lead and a lot of sloppy backing vocal blending, the lack of any sort of groove, to a lot of the oversold pickup lines that want him having to introduce this girl to his kinfolks. It's awkward in a way that none of Sam Hunt's questionably good songs were, and if he's expecting this to catch fire, yeah, I'm not sure this will get him there. Just kind of really mediocre. Number 62, Carter's Son by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
I'm blinded from the light, I can't see the wrong side, blinded from this light.
Okay, just 3 more YoungBoy songs, this being the album opener, and oh wow, I'm a little bit shocked how much I like this. For one, the production on the song is goddamn terrific. The seething bass line, the ominous guitars, the blast of horns echoing off the hook that support a pretty solid melody. And again, when YoungBoy gets into something beyond paranoid gunplay and fucking your girl, he's got decent subject matter. The lean, self-made independence is a consistently good look for him, especially against racial prejudice who won't believe he got him this far. And leaning into old school gangster stereotypes along with cussing out Vivo, that'll win over any YouTuber in record time. Yeah, the second verse is a lot more threats and gunplay, but the sense of danger seems more hard-edged and kind of ruthless. With a stronger structure to a lot of his rhymes, I'm actually digging it regardless. So yeah, I can't remember the last time I actually praised a YoungBoy song, but this is really damn good. I dig this, check it out. Number 57, Make No Sense by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
My fucking neck costs like 4 bricks. Ain't no way that I be toting on that strap, don't make no sense.
And now we're back to this. And yet I didn't find this precisely bad either. The bass line's legit solid, and while I'll never see the appeal of Gucci Mane in any era, especially not 2006, he's at least right that it doesn't make any sense. But then we get the content of the verses, and look, outside of the paranoid threats and the shooting, there's just very little here that stands out besides a good hook. Not one of the worst this week, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be seeking this out either, even though I do get the appeal. Number 44, Lonely Child by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
I take this pain away because my head been winning wild.
Okay, one last song from YoungBoy, another deep cut on the track list, and wait, the song that blew up the most here is the sensitive Young Thug riff where he's making an extended letter to his mom against a pretty decent guitar and low piano line, even if the percussion sounds a little bit cheaper than it should. But again, it is proof that when YoungBoy Never Broke Again gets away from the content that we've heard dozens dozens of times before, we actually get some real introspection where he wishes that he could show more vulnerability and feelings beyond anger where he feels he's been pigeonholed. The paranoia, it's there as always, but it's tempered with a look into the roots of his loneliness, missing his family and the girls who actually cared about him and his music. A hard realization that he never intended for this lifestyle so young to hit him this hard psychologically, and the admittance that he's paying for therapy to help himself. It's kind of sad that he feels that he has to go out gunslinging, but that's honestly the real tragedy, and I'll admit, he kind of sells it. So yeah, I feel like I've been waiting for this deeper element of dimensionality from YoungBoy Never Broke Again for a while. Get a slice of that humanity that he clearly wants to show, and yeah, he got rewarded for it. And justifiably so, because this is also a really damn good song. Check it out. And finally, number 17, Lights Up by Harry Styles. Let's be real, I think a lot of folks are probably looking forward to me talking about this the most this week. The biggest debut and laying the hope that Harry Styles might chart another hit. And I'll be honest, for as much as I expected this to probably be the best song of this week, I'm a lot more underwhelmed by this than I would like to be. Yeah, the acoustic strumming building into that elegant swell, it's an immediate winner, especially as it builds into that thicker groove for the first verse. But the second halves of the verses and the hooks, they seem oddly positioned to kind of kill the momentum, building into a pretty solid bridge, even if the symphonic vocals are set to get him there. But what I find more distracting is the vocal layering. For a song that's primed to be more organic, you would think you would stay away from all the filmy and compressed layering on the second half of the song, and all of the hooks that just doesn't nearly hit as hard as it should, especially given that second hook doesn't build to more of a climax, and the song doesn't even reach 3 minutes. You'd think you get something. I don't know, for as anthemic as it's set up to be, it feels weirdly abortive in all of its crescendos. Kind of an odd choice, especially given as Harry Styles himself is by far the best part of this song, with his liquid delivery and his writing that seems to focus on coming into the light, which many have interpreted as him coming out as bi. Which is an interpretation that kind of works, but the song is also pretty oblique with its language to just sound like another self-esteem anthem. And you know, if we're comparing this to the grand dramatic scope that he's capable of that characterize songs like Sign of the Times, yeah, you know what, I'm sorry, it's just not on that tier or on the tier of his best. It's definitely good, but from Harry Styles, and hell from Niall Horan, I've heard better. And that actually leaves me in a bit of a weird position in picking the best and the worst, because I sure as hell did not expect that YoungBoy Never Broke Again would sweep the best so easily, with Lonely Child getting the best of the week and Carter's Son the honorable mention. And really, hell, if he made more music like that, he might actually win me over, and I think those two spots are kind of interchangeable. They're both great songs. Now for the worst, yeah, YoungBoy is actually getting both these two, with In Control's the worst, with Dishonourable mention at Time I'm On. But next week, honestly, I'm not sure. It's been a pretty slow couple of weeks in October outside of the album bomb, so we might get a cool down. Have to see. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.